Hey guys, welcome to the Thursday Night Chilled live stream. We are on, just get it up, 1 second. There we are. We are on 78, episode 78 of the Thursday Chilled live stream. And tonight we're going to do something a little different. We're going to take a step back from the Scorpion MK character that we were working on last Thursday. And we're just going to do something a bit more fun. And maybe you can enjoy this a little bit more. So before we get into that though, I do want to share with you the membership video, and then we'll jump straight into what we're doing tonight and go from there. So give me 1 second. So you want to join my membership?
Gotcha. Sign up.
By joining, you won't only unlock members-only content, you'll also be supporting my channel and the growth of the community. Are you ready to do your part?
I'm doing my part.
For as little as a price of coffee a month.
God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet
You'll be able to access all past live streams and get exclusive members-only content.
Yeah, boy.
That's less than 49p a video.
Shut up and take my money.
So if you're ready, join now and become part of this 3D journey.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Okay, so as you saw there, you become a member of the channel and you can unlock all the Monday tutorial videos, which used to be live streams, but now they're just members videos, as well as past live streams and projects, and also past time-lapse videos, but in the full video. So you get to see the full video with some background music, and you get to see the entire process from ZBrush to Photoshop for my past projects. You can also become a Patreon member. Tier level 3 is the best, and you'll get the tutorial on how to sculpt the ZBrush, tutorial on how to sculpt the Velociraptor from Jurassic Park in a high poly model, as well as the Golem tutorial where you'll be able to test your skills with hard surface and organic characters inside of ZBrush as well. And also the tutorial they're working on at the moment, which is part 2 of the Velociraptor, which is basically taking it into Maya. It's basically the next step in the pipeline where you get to learn how to retopo your Velociraptor and UV map it, making it ready for part 3, which will be substance painting. So you'll be able to take this all the way through to the final character by the end and have it in your portfolio. And I'll show you the 2 different methods for film and game in the UV section, so you guys can make up your own mind on which one you want to use, game or film, and go from there. Also, I have a 30% off August 1st to the 31st, all products on Gumroad. All you gotta do is put Creative30 as coupon code at the checkout, and you'll get 30% off on everything on my Gumroad. So take advantage of it now. The description box below, there should be a link to my Gumroad, and you can go grab all the tutorials, brushes, and models that I have on there for 30% off. Right, with that being said, I'm just going to turn on the comments. So if you want, you can comment tonight. You can ask me anything you like, and I'll try and get around to it as best I can. But I think tonight's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to talk to the comment section because of what I have planned. So before we do that, let me just put on the music. Yeah, there we go. Have a swig of coffee, and I'm just going to jump into ZBrush. All right. So, like I mentioned at the beginning, I wanted to jump away from the Scorpion Mortal Kombat character for tonight, because at the same time, I'm doing the low poly model for that, and I haven't quite finished it yet, so I just need to finish that off, and maybe next week, or actually, I think next week, we'll jump into substance paint of that, and I'll show you how to substance paint that from low poly to model to final product. For this stream tonight, I had something planned a little differently. I was just going to test my skill as well as test, basically test my skill under pressure, right? Because I don't think I've ever done this before, and if you've ever watched any of those old ZBrush sort of, what do you call them? Those ZBrush conventions they used to have, or they still have, summits, where they had the best artists from around the world go and do the challenge of that they were set. Like, you know, they give them 3 hours to come up with a concept related to a specific creature, specific character, blah blah blah. So I never got around to going to one of those. I never got around to doing those, but I always thought it'd be a cool idea to try that out and see how far I can get. And I think I'm going to push myself tonight, because I'm going to give myself 1 hour, and you can just see it on the bottom right hand corner. There's a time, there's a stop clock, and it's going to count down 1 hour to sculpt. Then I'm going to do all the rendering and the posing and the rendering of this character, and then I'm going to jump into Photoshop. I'm going to give myself just under an hour, so maybe 50 to 40 minutes to finish off the concept. Well, if I finish off the concept before the time ends, that's fine, but trying to give myself around 2 hours to do a concept and to do a sculpt tonight. So this should be quite interesting. I have no idea what I want to sculpt yet, and I think I'm just going to make it up as I go along, because I was watching the ZBrush, what do you call it, Maxim ZBrush live streams, and there's a guy on there called Marco Lazaros, I think his name is. He's got some amazing sculpts, and he can do it really quickly. So I just wanted to see if I could do the same thing with a creature design completely from scratch in my head, and see if I can do it in 1 hour. And whatever I have at the end of that hour, I'm going to take into Photoshop and I'm going to finish it off. All right. So with that being said, I do have open on a separate window. I'll just move it over so you can see. I do have on a separate window here pure Pinterest. So that's just going to be on the separate screen, so I can get some inspiration as I sculpt. So hopefully this is going to be interesting. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I'm going to use all my shortcuts that I have and all the shortcuts that I know to get this creature or whatever it is at the end done before the clock strikes 0 at the bottom there. So before I get started, just want to say hello to Alt Forever. Nice to see you here again, and to all of you as well watching, nice to see you're here. And let's do it, shall we? So let me just get a sip of coffee. Please talk amongst yourselves. I will try to answer some questions if I have some time, but it's going to be one of those nights where I just get to sculpting. So there might not be a lot of talking. So we probably talk a little bit more during the Photoshop session. So let's do this. Okay. I'm going to get myself ready. So here we are. Get the new armchair. All right. Turn on the clock, and I'm going to get going. All right. So we're going to start off with this sort of torso. Again, I am not 100% sure what I want to do with this, so we're gonna go along and just make whatever. All right. There's nothing special about this thing. It's just going to be whatever I can come up with within an hour. And I kind of want to make it really exaggerated and something I've never done before, basically. Just the shapes that I've never really worked with. So as you can see, I'm working on the torso right now, and this could be quite interesting. All right, and let's go and grab some arms. So insert mesh, IMM parts, and let's grab female arms for this one. As this is going to be, I guess, as this is going to be a relatively slim creature or slim character, we could go with the female arms. Will be best for this. As I mentioned before, I'm not going to be working from, well, I'm going to be working as fast as possible, so I can't sit here and do every muscle. I'm just going to block out the types of things that, or the types of muscle placements and stuff that I can see or think of, or you know. But I'm not going to spend hours doing wrinkles or anything like that. This is a speed sculpt, a true speed sculpt. So, yeah, let's see how it goes. I hope everyone's had a good week as well. Here we are. I might not get all of the body done, like the legs, because I might have run out of time. So I guess I'll focus on the top half and just do like a torso, but maybe there is time. If there's time left, I'll block in the bottom half, I guess. But I'm not going to focus too much on that. I'm going to append another sphere. Shrink it down. Geometry, Dynamesh. Let's make that good. So as you can see, the lower the topology of your Dynamesh, the easier it is, as I keep mentioning, the easier it is to actually maneuver around your topology and get shapes faster. If it's higher, then it's going to take a lot more work to actually get your characters to work properly, or in the blockout stage. So it's always a good idea to block it out at a relatively low topology rate, or resolution, sorry. Now, I think the most difficult thing I'm going to probably come into contact with this, especially with the time given, is actually coming up with a head design, because the head and face can be quite a long process to try and get right. So we'll try and get this done. And I quite like the idea of the topology being this low, so that you can get all these sort of shapes coming out of it, unsuspected shapes, I guess. Just looking at some of the concepts on my other screen real quick. It's actually... And the best thing about this as well is it actually frees you from thinking too much if you have a specific time set on your character, because you're working in a fast way. It actually helps you to speed up the process, right? And to not overthink things, which is a really good thing. Because sometimes you could spend hours on one area, really, and neglect the rest of it. So, okay, let me jump in here and Dynamesh that, clay builder. Okay, now I'm going to use the dam standard and the clay builder and other brushes to quickly think up a shapes going on here. And this is an alien demon creature type thing, it doesn't really matter. Well, I mean, it does matter because you want it to look believable, but again, it doesn't really matter too much, as long as it's got the right anatomy. Like if it's a demon, like we're kind of doing here, or some sort of alien creature, it's still a good idea to have the human anatomy influence in your character. But it doesn't always have to have human anatomy influences either, so you can really change it up to whatever you like, really. So you can see there could be some happy accidents sometimes that come out of this when you're sculpting, especially at low resolution. You can get really interesting shapes form as well. I think what I would do is use the move brush and just going to pull out these shoulder blades. Make it really interesting. Right, and then his back of his spine will be there. And let's just add some lines in there to emphasize where that spine is. Might need to even pull that spine out slightly in the middle. Don't worry, again, also, if you're going to be doing this concept from a certain angle, then as we probably will do for this one, we'll probably put it to a certain angle so when we render it, so we won't be doing it from the back. So if you're in a sort of time-lapsed or time sensitive sort of situation with your sculpt, it's best to focus on the more prominent pieces that are actually going to be seen, right? You don't want to be spending too much time on areas that just won't be acknowledged. Okay, let's move on to the face. So I guess to keep it simple, I think what I want is, what we're going to do is, I'm not going to open the mouth and put all the teeth and stuff in, right? That's just going to be a little bit of a waste of time. So what I'm going to do instead is make his mouth closed instead. To save time, right? You don't want to be sitting here trying to put all that effort into making the jaw and all that sort of thing if you haven't got the time to do it. So and trimming that down. Okay. Clay brush. Pull the chest out a little bit. Get this rib cage out. Something like that. Hope everyone's having a good week, by the way. Getting a lot of work done, or trying to get a lot of work done. Okay, just focus on these arms real quick. Going to dynamesh these at a higher res. Too higher res. Okay, that's better. And let's add some muscle definition in here now. I guess what I like about this as well is it really is just get in there and figure out ways to make shapes work when you're, you know, in a time sensitive situation as we are. You can really play around the shapes as well. That's what I like about creating creatures from imagination, is that you're not limited to the real world aspect. You can really go in and change things up if you wanted to, and make it look more fantastical in shapes and stuff. And triceps. Okay, remove brush. Actually, snake hook brush. Alright, how's I doing for time? 48 minutes. Shoot. It's not good. Hey, Omega Creations. Nice to see you here. I am on a time-sensitive manner here at the moment, so what I'll do is I will read the chat in the next section, because I think I'll have a little bit more time to. But I need to a little bit focus here on this section real quick. getting this creature done. So, but it's great. I see you're working on your is it a demon horse or nightmare horse? That's good. Lasso. I'm gonna dynamesh that again. This is probably going to be the most sloppiest character I've ever made. Get some hand palms in here. Oh, looks like we've got two merged fingers. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm not even going to bother to separate them. Instead, I'm just going to merge them together, really. Have them as merged fingers instead. Oh, this... You know what? I'm going to start making... what do you call it? Shortcut brushes, I think. Well, yeah, just because if I'm going to do this again next time, I think what I'll do is I'll make some shortcut brushes. Specific brushes to get this done faster. Alright, let's have a look what we got. I think the hardest part of this is going to be taking it into Photoshop and seeing what I've got to play with inside of Photoshop, because yeah, it's gonna be a mess, but we'll see. By the way, let me know in the comments if you want me to change the music. It might be driving you bloody bonkers by now, but I can always change it, seeing as we're not talking as much. Use a standard brush to push in some of that. Okay, pull that out the side. Really want to get some of that creepiness going on there with his arms. Just gonna check some of those references here real quick, see if there's anything else I can use for the head. Might change it again. And, let's push this all back. Let me see if there's something I can chisel. Is there any horns in here we can throw in, maybe? No. Let me insert. No, nothing in there. Alright, let me just what's the time? 41 minutes. Got some time left. I'm going to change the music real quick. Where is it working? I wish that what is the program I'm using? It's called StreamYard. I wish they had like a way of putting a couple of music pieces together and then playing it in rotation rather than just the one song on the loop. I don't think it works if you turn off the loop. I could be wrong. I could be doing this all wrong on here, but just for some reason I haven't figured it out. Maybe I haven't figured it out yet properly. Quite like the idea of that. Those horns look like they work pretty well. Okay. The keen-eyed people around would notice that I haven't started to merge anything yet because I find it's easier to do things with separate subtools like this rather than having it all in one piece still. It means I can get into areas and change things quickly. And it's just easier to control multiple subtools than it is to control just the one. What am I going to do with this mouth? Right. Grab a snake hook. I'm not going to sculpt actual teeth again, trying to keep it simple. And I don't know if I'm going to get around to doing the legs, so it's probably just going to be a nice torso piece that I create out of this. And I think it's going to be it's going to be a piece that's going to have multiple subtools. I'm not going to spend time merging these and cleaning up the geometry. I think it's just going to be not within the wheelhouse as I'm sculpting away here. I can tell that I'm already running out of time quite quickly. So it's a lot of things are just going to have to go by the wayside, unfortunately. Brush. Now, would I recommend doing this as an actual portfolio piece? Maybe not. As a practice piece, definitely. I think people should do this from time to time to, you know, see how fast they can come up with a design. And the whole idea of it is not to be perfect. It's to get an idea down on paper. That's where it sort of comes from, right? That sort of getting things down on paper is basically the same thing as when you want to do life drawing or anything like that. They tend to do this sort of thing where, well, it's a lot less time, but there's a lot less time given, but the idea is still there. You have a set amount of time to draw as much as possible, or a specific area as much as possible, focusing on key areas. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here, really, is just focus on key areas. Of our character. But I guess when it comes to characters, the biggest key area you'll have will be the face, really, won't it? If you think about it, it's the one thing people gravitate to when they look at a concept or they look at your creature. They'll gravitate to the face first, and then they'll move their way down the body towards the rest of the pieces. So focusing and adding a bit more time in the face will be much more beneficial later. Even though it looks awful right now, it looks pretty bad, but you know, that is what it is. Nothing a bit of spiky spikes can't fix. Okay, getting some of that awful detail onto the horns with the damn standard. Snake hook. Ooh, okay. What's the time? 30 minutes. Is that it? Thought it was a lot less. Okay, come down to arms. Let's add some spikies to the arms. And also to the waist. Just where the hip bone is. I think I'll just add a couple in there. And even though we haven't done anything around the back of this character, it's actually held up quite nicely, the shapes. So that's pretty good. We could just come in here and pull the spikes out the back on the shoulder blades. And what I like to do as well, I like doing the back of creatures like this because you can really get in here and make it look pretty gruesome if I had more time. But for now, I'm just going to add a spinal column. And bump up the... So it looks like the spine's coming out the back of him there. Just a little bit of detail. Maybe after this I'll at some point come back to this creature, but I'm not promising anything, obviously. But it's a good idea to use that as well. Let me just grab a standard brush and add some detail in the front here. Okay, 27 minutes left. Let's add some deep trim dynamic there. Damp standard. Okay. Trim adaptive for the horns. Just break it up so it's not so smooth. What I like about the trim adapter is if you tap it in the right place, you can get some really nice angles on your sculpt, like flat edges. But you gotta be very careful with it as well. Can really screw up your character if you're not careful. Kind of wanted these to be like a crown. guess it's not really working too well. Standard. We're going to do these abs. We're going to give him abs. Might as well. How am I doing for time? 25 minutes left. It's not bad. I swear, if I put feet on him now, I think it's just going to be so much time worrying about how the feet look. So I'm not sure I'm going to add feet to him. Could just be a nice torso piece. Just clean up the base here a bit. And another thing I could do is duplicate the horns and make more. And really push the boundaries of them as well. I'm always a bit weary as when I'm doing creatures. Like I'm always a bit, sometimes a little bit too hesitant to really push the boundaries of my design. And so doing things like this sort of speed sculpt, it frees me, even frees me from having the same look on my characters and creatures all the time. You know, you can really come in and play around with it a bit, a lot more. Maybe he has a rather small chest. Oh, caving in chest like that. You see how a little bit of movement and a little bit of manipulation can change the look of your whole thing, your whole creature. It gives it just a bit more character as well. You could really come in here and change the even change the silhouette of them even more. I guess if it's a fantastical creature or design that you're going for, it really doesn't matter what it looks like, does it? It's the art of cool, I guess you'd say. I guess they would say it's an art of cool. So if it looks cool, it doesn't really matter too much about the anatomy just yet. This is a concept, so you can always think of all the nitty-gritty things that make up a functional character later. It's just trying to get your creative juices flowing when you're doing this sort of sculpting. You know, see if you can come up with a cool design without having too much worry about the practicality of it, of your creature. Maybe it's just more of waist. Let me bump up the resolution. I don't think I'm going to have time to retopo and clean it up. I think it's just going to have to be what it is in Dynamesh. So just carry on with it, I guess. Can emphasize these teeth a bit more. I'm hoping that the majority of it's going to be done better inside of Photoshop, but I think if you don't have a good sort of base to your character, like in the sculpt, it can make it a bit more difficult to fix later on inside of Photoshop. So still a good idea to have something good to take into the compositing side. I really want to put like an eyeball in there, but I think it'd look a bit cheesy, so I might just keep it like a faceless demon style. I think that'll work better, like a faceless demon. Turn to these hands real quick. Let's bump up the resolution. There we are. These aren't the main focus of this creature, so spending too much time on this could be a little bit of a waste of time. Okay, back face. Now you got to be a little bit careful though when doing this type of speed sculpting, that you still obey the rules of ZBrush, because even though it looks it's not going to be used as a model, you don't want to be too fast. Well, you want to be fast when you're sculpting, but you don't want to be too fast that you start to create bad geometry. Otherwise, ZBrush is going to get really confused and it's going to crash. So there's always the chance that ZBrush will crash on you if you go too quickly when sculpting these sort of characters, creatures. So just keep that in mind as you do your own. I'm not going to spend too much time on these fingers. Just want to get something on. Okay. "14 minutes left." We're getting there. So at this point, you should have something down that you actually think will work, or you think will be good to go, and you should move into more detailing sculpt. Now, when I mean detailing sculpt, I don't mean going in there with the alphas and all that. You could use alphas if you like. You probably won't have time to though. But it's just a detailing sculpt is where you basically just go around and make sure everything is the way you like it. You can add a little bit of alphas from well, I'll use a little bit of alphas from this, from ZBrush, real quick, just to add some surface detail or texture. Add a brush. Let's add Z-add. Let's go down the arm real quick. Put some veins down the arm. It's a bit messy, but it'll do. And let's just focus in on this neck area real quick. Where is it? Standard brush, spray. Add some noise in there. Damn standard. Turn off back face masking. Snake hook. Few more spiky spikes. Here we are. Sorry if this is a bit of a boring one. I was going to talk about some stuff, but I think I'll leave it until a little later. Again, if we run out of time, we run out of time, and we just take whatever we have, render it, stick it in this Photoshop, and see what we can come up with, because I have no idea how this is going to turn out. This is nothing I've planned, and so it could be really cool, or it's going to look absolute dog shit. But we'll see. Where am I going? Tab standard. Just gonna pump that up. Sorry about that. I'm just going around now with the 9 minutes left. I'm just seeing where I can clean up little areas here and there, as we are rapidly now running out of time. That still look pretty good. Let's just see how this would look with an extra horn. Six more minutes, and I've lost all my tools. one's over here. Just gonna subdivide these to get a bit more resolution. Four minutes left. Okay, I think that's about as good as I'm going to get these teeth to look. Just do some quick sharpening. Yeah, they're not the best teeth that I've made or ever made, but I think they'll do. Using a trim adaptive. Give some edgy, sharp edges to this thing. Okay, 2 minutes 30 seconds left. Really is just coming down to the final touches now. I never really actually spent that much time in the middle here, did I? In this torso area. One minute 30 seconds left. 1 minute 8 seconds left. Forty seconds left, 45 seconds left. Gonna cut it right to the wire with this. Okay. 23 seconds left. Ten, 9, 7, 6, 5. I'm not going to do any more. 4, 2, 1. Time's up. Oh. All right. I think my timer is still going. Hold on 1 second. All right. Whew. Okay. So that is 1 hour of sculpting a creature from scratch inside ZBrush. Now, it's not going to look perfect, right? But it's a good start. It's a good sort of place to start. I mean, especially I've been doing it all from scratch. So, and from sort of fantasy. I mean, I have had some references open here, but because of the amount of time that I had given myself, I didn't actually have a lot of time to look at the individual pieces in this Pinterest board that I have on the side here and actually think about what I wanted to do. So it just kind of, yeah, just sort of came its own thing, I guess you'd say. And it's not come out too bad, actually. I think we got quite a few cool design elements. I've also sort of broken my method of just playing it safe with shapes. I think I've pulled a lot of these shapes out quite nicely and played around with them and came up with new designs and stuff. I might, if I had more time, I probably might have sort of inflated this horn just a little bit more, so it's a little bit different shaped to the others, but I think it's not too bad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm not going to put the clock back on. What I want to do is I want to take this into Photoshop and do some compositing of it. So I'm just going to blitz through this this next stage as fast as I can, so we can get it into Photoshop and do some compositing of them. So first thing I'm going to do is go into Documents. I'm going to change the width to, what is it normally, 1270 and 1920, because I want it to be portrait, not landscape. Right, so we get a nice portrait view. Also come over to Draw and switch it from horizontal to vertical. Kind of want it to be around about there, like that. Just want to check the question. Got any questions here? So Omega Creation says, good evening. Continue work on Nightmare Horse Creature miniature. If I get it done for printing by tomorrow, it will be a great week. Well, I hope you do, mate. Hope you do. All good, Merry Christmas times, and great to watch and see you flow. Cool. Yeah, I'd really love to do my own 3D printing stuff, but unfortunately, because I live in a flat, I can't do any 3D printing because there's no proper ventilation in this room or in my living room, and the fumes from the resin printers that I have, even though you can get resin that hasn't got fumes, but I just haven't had time to set up anything. I don't have anywhere to set up. I've got carpets as well, so if that resin gets in the carpets, you pretty much just fucked your carpets up. But at some point in my life, I will have a garage and I will be able to 3D print, hopefully. That's a big, that would be a big win, but we'll see how it goes. So I kind of had this idea to take in, so to render it inside of ZBrush, but to composite inside Photoshop. I wanted to try something different inside of Photoshop. I don't want to do what I normally do, which is take a color or textured version from ZBrush to Photoshop. I wanted to try doing the colors and textures inside of Photoshop instead of inside of ZBrush. Now, this is probably going to go one or two ways. It could be really good, or it could just be really bad. So I'm going to render out a couple of materials to help me inside of Photoshop, but then the majority of it I'm hoping to do inside of Photoshop. I think this is how a lot of the concept artists in films, and particularly in films, I think, go about doing their compositing side. So if they're in a crunch time and they need to get 3 or 4 concepts done, they would be skilled Photoshop artists as well. You know, traditional Photoshop artists, traditional Photoshop artist, and also traditional artist, and they would do most of the coloring and compositing inside of Photoshop. They just needed like a base model from ZBrush to get them started, I guess, because some people find it easier that way rather than drawing out a character. So what we'll do is we'll do the same thing. And before I do that, I'm going to, I really want to move things, but I'm not sure. I think it'll be all right. It should be all right. No, you know what? I'm not going to move anything because ZBrush is very temperamental when it comes to transposing a character. And if you have a really dense character with dense topology, like our Dynamesh model, it's going to hate that and it will probably crash. So I don't want to crash it because I haven't saved it. So I'm going to leave it as it is, but I might just change the focal length to flatten it some more. Zero says, I'm currently texturing in Substance using UDIMs for the first time. Looks great, but my computer is suffering. Yeah, Substance Painter is a bastard when it comes to UDIMs and also your graphics card and CPU. It is going to munch on that like you can't believe. So good luck with that. And I hope to see the results. If you're in my Discord, just chuck in the results afterwards. But yeah, it's going to be brutal on your machine, unfortunately. Okay. So first thing I try to do is I try to get a good sort of angle of light for my my character, or position of light for my character. And also I'll turn on the ambient occlusion as well. It's very important actually to get the positioning of your light right when it comes to this, because this is what's going to help sell your creature some more, you know, if you have the light in the right area and right positioning. So we just see how that looks. I mean, oh, by the way, I know why my live streams look a little bit weird when you watch them back, and there's a lot of pixelations, because my internet speed is a load of shit, and I don't have fiber optics, but apparently they're going to get fiber optics by December, so we'll see by December how that goes. I'm not crossing my fingers that it'll be any better if they actually do it, but hopefully fiber optics will be fine. I'm currently running on copper wire, so that's probably why it looks so janky when you watch it. So I'm very sorry about that, but you get to see the final results anyway later. So, but I'm hoping that you guys are okay with the signals that are coming from these live streams, because they can be a bit naff. Plus, I haven't heard any complaints just yet, so hopefully that's a good sign. All right, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get a good position for this render as well. Sometimes it's you know, you got to play around with the position of your character and the light to get a cool pose from what you're trying to achieve. Sometimes looking up at the character is going to be more menacing than looking down at him. So it could be better to do it from the bottom, looking at him from the bottom. I tend to try not to use a straight on render like this, although that could be quite cool if we had a straight on render as well. I'll try this way. I think this might be the one. Might just move the light to this side. More over the top of them, I think. I think that's gonna work pretty nice, I think. Let's just zoom in a little bit. Yeah, I think that'll work. So if that's the main light source, then what I'll normally do as well is I'll come into the BPR filters. I've started to use BPR filters quite regularly now to add extra filters on top, basically, of my character. Now, normally the character is textured, so these textures would look a lot better, or these filters would look a lot better. But I haven't added texture, so we're just going to have to do it without for now. So just trying to concentrate. This might give us some nice fleshy tones, slight fleshy tones. I also like using the blend. The blend's nice because it gives it a bit of shininess to them, depending on which one you use here. I think it's average or lighten. Yeah, it's a slight specular highlight to them. Alt Forever says, "Wow, that looks so good, and you did it in 1 hour." Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I quite like I said, I quite like doing those 1 hour sort of sculpts, really. Zero says, "Looking up definitely gives the character a powerful status." Yeah, maybe. Let's try just rotating it slightly. I want to get a nice profile to him as well. I think we had it right there. Yeah. I ran out of coffee. Lovely. Onto the water. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. I like that. I like that. I like that. Just going to turn the shadow down and the ambient occlusion down on that, as well as this one. Good. And I think for this Auton, which is basically a big light source, I'll just drop it on the ambient occlusion as well, and the shadows. I wonder if I could just add something metal-like, maybe. Multiply? Multiply looks quite good. Let's try just one more. I think what I want is this texture. Maybe soft light. Yeah. That's better. All right, I'm going to use that, and that's going to be my main render. So if I come over to the render pass here, you can see you got the composite shaded. The shaded one is what you want to export out because that's got all the filters on top, right? So we'll export that one out, the depth, the shadow, and ambient occlusion, and the mask as well. So let me just pull that to the side real quick. I haven't actually got anywhere to save this because I haven't made a folder for it yet. So let me just quickly make that folder. I'm sorry I have to put it off screen because I have sensitive folders on there, I think. So Photoshop, and let's put that as a PSD save. Depth, shadow, ambient occlusion, mask. Okay, now I need to turn off all these filters. Okay, in the render pass, I'm going to just grab a couple more. Oh, wait. Let's turn off the ambient occlusion and shadow. And just going to grab a couple more of these extras to help me inside of Photoshop. Okay. I'll just take this one as well. Okay, so take those ones, and then I'm going to get the balloon, turn to black, go to the light properties, boost this, and this will be our light sources. O1, O2, O3, and O4. Okay. That's all I need. And I'll just turn this back. Here we are. Now, I'm going to open up Photoshop. Here we are. We're going to jump into Photoshop real quick. As soon as I find... Where's that short folder? There it is. Okay. Let's bring in the composite. And all these. Boom, boom, boom. Rasterize. Unlock the base. Depth mask should be under there. Now, there's not really any importance in the placement of these. I'll just do it this way because I've done it this way all the time, so for a long time, so I just use the same method. But you could, you know, if you've got your own model, you don't have to use it, do the same thing. There we are. So this is the lights. I'll just do this so you guys can see. Lights and materials. Alright, so Now we're inside of Photoshop. Let me get my timer up, and I'm going to add a 40-minute timer for this, or 45, just to be safe. Just make it a timer right now. Second, hold on. 45 minutes. Okay, and bring this over, and I'll stick it just there. Right. Here we go. Whoops, what's going on? Okay. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. This could turn out really good, or this could turn out really bad. Please don't judge me in the comments. This is going to be something I don't know it's going to work out, to be fair. Let's just see what happens. We might even have to cut off the hands or something, I don't know, when we crop it, so if we can't make it work. So let's just get into it, shall we? So we're going to start a timer, and that is on, and let's go. So first thing I'm going to do is try out some of these. I know we already have this on the character, but sometimes it helps to add more. Now this is typically what I would do if I was doing one of my what do you call it, time-lapse videos. So it's basically the same techniques I would use for the time-lapse videos that you're seeing now. I'm just going through these real quick. Yeah, just a little faster than normal though, because of the the timer down there on the left. Oh, by the way, I have got a sale on at the moment on my Gumroad, so if you want, you can go grab 30% off on models, brushes, and tutorials, and use Creative 30 in the checkout to get 30% off. Right. This is a little harder actually because I'm using the mouse, and the mouse is so hard to push and pull around. It's really strenuous. Just turning on these lights, and in fact this one, I'm going to turn to screen, but I'm also going to add a mask and mask out. And let's try and find a soft brush. Here we are. Let's add a bit of a rim. Okay. Next one. We'll turn that one off for now. I'm not quite 100% sure about that one. Grab the green channel. And soft like that. Ah! This mouse is just so annoying. Second verse. Now, I'm not someone that knows all the shortcuts, so if you do see me using all these, going to all these sections to pick something, then I'm terribly sorry, but I never got around to learning the shortcuts inside of Photoshop very well. So you just have to put up with my long-handed way of doing things. Right. That's slightly darker. Okay. So now I'm going to try something I haven't tried before. So let's see if this works. There we go for that kind of color. So just going to go around and start adding some colors inside of Photoshop now. And I'm going to be very careful because I have no idea if this is going to work properly. Let's try using an overlay. Yeah, I would never do this normally. This is something I think I would try to stay away from. Although I shouldn't actually. I should actually engage in this type of texturing more often, because it could speed up your workflow quite a bit if you get it right, if you do it right. Okay. Darker in the bottom there, on the hands. Introduce some darkness to him. Now, ideally what I would do is add these as fills, right? So you fill in the entire section with a color and then use a mask instead to drive the colors. But I'm being a bit lazy, so that's the only excuse I've got. I'm just being a bit lazy, that's all. This one. Image, adjust. Oh no, it's not image adjusted. Actually, what I will do is first of all create a duplicate of that. Also, don't forget to change your mode from 8-bit to 16-bit. That way you don't get that horrible banding that happens on your image when you work on it. I figured that out recently. I was trying to figure out why is it got so much banding in the image, and it turns out it's because I was working in 8-bit rather than 16-bit, and 16-bit's much better for resolution on your pixels and stuff. Select that one. New layer. Invert. Bucket. Okay. Add a mask. Just mask out some of these areas around here. Trying to create a false subsurface scattering technique with the ambient occlusion. Okay, texture files. I've got a bunch of texture files I'm going to use later. But right now, I just want to duplicate that. Is that... It's a bit too much. Or is it? Maybe you can just dial it down a bit more. Select that one. Gonna use a smoother or colder sort of color. Just dab that around a little bit. Not have to be specific. Sorry. Yeah. Soft light will do. Let's put a background in because I think it's gonna work fine. Just need to add a background now. Of course, now I'm kicking myself because I didn't make the legs, but I'm hoping that we can get away without having to use the legs. Just adding some gradients first, sort of getting that gradient looking right with the way the light hits the character in the back. And then what I'll do is grab the cloud brush, my trusty cloud brush, which I can't find right now. There it is. And I don't know if you guys can see that very well. I'm probably zoomed out very far. I like to actually do that. Actually, it's a good idea to do that with your drawing, is to sort of be quite far away from it so you can see the overall image. Otherwise, you'll get into that trap of what was it gonna say? The trap of focusing on one area, really, and you don't really want to do that with your characters. You want to see it from a distance. All right. Okay. Where is it? There it is. Let's just bring the opacity down on that in the background, and we want to get a bit of that color. Yeah, bit of this. Yeah, what I do is I normally select the color from the character to put onto the background so that it sort of blends better, instead of having a random color in the background, because then you're sort of making it messy, right? You're making the image messy. We haven't actually finished with these ones yet as well. So we got the shadow. We're going to introduce the shadow back in. We've sort of lost it as we were playing around with it, so we can introduce the shadow back in. And of course we got the ambient occlusion as well. You can add that. And there's also the depth mask, which is a great one to use if you want to bring something to the foreground and hide something in the background. Normally use multiply for this, but you can see the mask is hiding more in this area, so you can change that by going to levels and adjusting the amount of stuff you can hide and the amount of stuff you want to show. Like that. And then I'll just grab the mask and pull that thing in that sort of side out into the sunlight again. I just want it down here slightly. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to hide the or fix this area. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there yet. Duplicate that. bring more color into it. Just it colorize. Just play around with these a bit, tweaking it. Gonna have to do something with this. Hold on. Let me group all of this and a new layer. Yep, gonna have to add some clouds to hide his torso. It's going to look a bit weird. Otherwise, I'll have to crop it, and then we'll lose the hands. You see, unless, hold on, let me just delete this. We put a mask on that, and there you go. We do that instead. Then what we can do is grab all that, scale it up. We're going to have to cut the hand, I think, because I mean it's a nice feature to have in the image, but it just, because the legs aren't there, it's just going to look really, really strange. So I'll cut the hands out for this image, because otherwise the composition doesn't work very well. And I'll let's move him down slightly. Okay, let's take a look at these lights. Now that we've got everything we want, we just come in and clean up these lights. "28 minutes left, it's plenty of time." Okay. Just going over each of these layers now and just checking that I like the way they work. Linear dodge. Linear dodge add. Let's change the color of that one. This is the God, did I change it? Yeah, that'll do. Right, I've got a bunch of tile textures I've been working on, and I'm going to try and use them now for added effect, because you can see he's actually quite boring texture to look at, character to look at texture wise. So I'm going to bring in some things to help. And these might work, these might not, but these are textures I'm working on at the moment, tileable textures I'm working on to speed up the process of compositing. I'm also creating them to be used inside of Substance as tileable textures as well. So I'm still working on creating more at the moment. But essentially what you do is you just place them all over, give it a bit of blur, crop it out, and then overlay it Oh, there's one. Always one. There's always one. Blur it. Right. And then come over here to overlay it. And we can also come in here, see what happens to desaturate. No, let's keep it as it is. And let's just adjust the hue. Okay. Now, not all of them are going to be perfect, but you can then come in with a brush and brush it away from where you don't want it and keep it where you do want it. Right. Let's grab another one. Something a bit more detailed on it. That's this one. My favorite one. The little spots. If you guys have ever seen one of my time-lapse videos, this is one that I really like to use, and I've decided to go ahead and make it a tileable texture as well. So it can blend quite nicely. It's really cool to see on inside of Substance Painter in particular. I think I'll put some on my Instagram if you guys want to go and see what they look like. Actually, I'll just get it up. Why not? I did some tests with it inside Substance Painter, and this is also using so here it is. So this is what it looks like inside Substance Painter, right, with the bump map, with a normal map, bump map, and I think there's a specular on it as well. And here's some extra ones here. So this is like a snake skin. This is like a alien honeycomb texture. You can see what I'm doing here with these. This was the one we just used, but with inside Substance. So they actually look really good inside Substance. And you can also use them in Photoshop, obviously, for what we're doing now, which is, you know, conceptual work. So blur. Mask this out. Delete. This one, I am going to desaturate this one. And then I'm going to mask it. Invert the mask. And for this one, I normally just paint in specific areas where I want this. Not too rough, because you don't want it too all over the place. But it's a really good one because it gives you this sort of fake skin texture. Oh, that's another thing I like doing as well. If I grab that mask, I'll get the gradient tool, grab the darkest part, and just make it darker at the bottom and lighter at the top, so it's a slight gradient. Because you don't want people focusing on the bottom half of your image when it's like this. You want it to focus on this middle section, I guess you could say. It's where the focus should go, really. Where is that thing? There it is. Just bring this down. It's almost like I want it to be visible, but not in your face visible. You know, you want this texture to be here, but not so prominent. As it, you know, not so prominent to take over what you're trying to show. New layer. Gradient. Running out of time now. Got 20 minutes left. I'm going to put a spotlight at the back here. I normally do this as well. I normally put a spotlight in the back of the head. A very faint one. Nothing too obvious. Okay. Where's those textures? Just having a look and see which one I can use. Let's try that one. Saturate this. Add the mask. I'm just going to mask out a few areas. It's more of an overall sort of texture. If you turn this on and off, you can kind of see like it adds noise to the surface. You see that? You see that properly? Just adds a little bit of noise to the surface of the image there. Let's just look at these lights again. That's maybe the one thing that takes a long time to get right, is the masking out or painting out or fixing the lighting that you're using, because it could be lighting the wrong areas. Use that one there, turn that off on that side. In fact, you can probably lose most of the lighting down here. Underneath the chin there. What am I doing? There we are. Might just add a bit of color to this light. So I'm just going to colorize this. Now, if I add a bit of color in here, like that, then I've got to come in and add a bit of color to the background. The same kind of color. So just grab some of that blue hue. And introduce that to the background. And then it's all we got to do next is just play around with the levels, all these levels in here that you've got, and see what you can turn on, turn off, and adjust. I wonder if it would be a bit too on the nose if I come in here, the brush, and add a bit of saliva. Oops. Might work. Yeah, and then, you know, you can also come in and use the paintbrush to adjust some of the spikes and stuff. Like go in there with a brush and start adjusting things, you know, make him slightly sharper. Obviously I would do this with a much more careful hand, but you can come in and add more to it inside of Photoshop. I'm going to do that bit, but yeah, like you could grab that and extend it out even further if you wanted to. I try not. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm just not so talented as a painter in order to do that. So I try to just do what I can with ZBrush and Photoshop rather than add extra bits like that. Come back to this one. Just add some of that rim light back into the back of his head here. Don't need it down there. Okay. There are other things you can do as well. You can grab some textures from the internet and add those as well. I think I've got one in here. So you could use something like this as an actual texture to add to your creature. Let's say we wanted some of that stuff in there. Just move this down. Rasterize it. Rasterize layer. Let's just see how this goes. It might not be the best thing. Invert it. Maybe not. We'll just leave it as that. That could work. So you could do that with images as well. Add extra images on top to help sell it. And then once you're happy, which I mean, I could go a little further, I guess. I could come in with a cloud brush real quick and add a bit of color around here. Some clouds around here to help set them in a bit more. And the back, just brighten up that top left hand side. All right, and I'm going to merge or group all those. And I'm going to make a new group. And in here, there's going to be all the adjustment layers. But before I do that, I've got some time. The adjustment layers don't take much time to do anyway, so I got a little bit of time to do some extra stuff in here. So let's just duplicate this base one. And in here, I'm going to adjust this to be brighter. Make them invert the mask, or mask it and invert it. And I'm going to make just the top half here a little brighter. There we are. And you can do that with this multiple times. So if you wanted to, you can duplicate that layer, change the actual color of it, like really exaggerate, maybe colorize it even. Let's do that. Let's do that. And then create a mask, invert the mask, come in with a paintbrush and just add it in very specific areas. Right, something like that. And no, this doesn't look perfect at all. And you can also change the effect in here as well. So you can change the outcome of what it looks like. I'm just gonna leave it as normal. And you can also bring down the opacity for it as well. Okay, let's say that's good. Let's go back to the top here. And I'm going to add an adjustment layer. First thing I like to do is brighten it and also bring down the contrast slightly. This is all, this is all your own interpretation of it though, of your own piece. Don't just do what I'm doing, but these are the layers that I normally use. So if you're following along, or if you've always wanted to know how I do it, this is how I kind of do it. A level is what I'm using now. Kind of like the green and red look that's going on there. That's pretty cool. What's next? Color lookup. Plow through these and see what we come up with. Just see what these all look like. And that's what I love about this, is you now just sit back and enjoy the final pieces or the final steps in this, which is coming up with a good finish for it, like the final finish. I do like that. I do like that, I do. I'll turn this down. And let's go for... what vibrance looks like. You turn that down slightly. Saturate it a little bit. Again, the Wacom I'm using is not the true colors and stuff as well, so you're gonna be a little bit careful with that as well, just making sure that the colors are all right. Now you can see I've got a lot of light on this hip here. I don't think that's going to work very well, so I'm going to try and find where that is. Maybe it's not even in these lights. Maybe it's just the way it is the way it is, really. I'll leave it as it is. It should be fine. Vibrancy, photo. Now you don't have to do a photo filter, but sometimes, even adding a photo filter as well can help pull the image together, so the character and the background together a bit more. Align it a bit more to each other. And you can just cycle through these until you find one that works well with your image. Sepia will be fine. And it's not a very heavy sepia either, so you don't have to worry about it overtaking the whole image. And then what I'll do is I'll just, whoops, cancel that. Duplicate this one, the the final image, and I'm going to merge this as a group. Then you can see, I think it worked, but it might not have. This is the rim light, but what happens is it sort of helps to, if you see here on the edges, sometimes on the edges it'll be a bit pixelated, but I think that's also pixelated because it's got a very small file size, like image size, so it's going to be a little bit pixelated, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Okay, let's go to filter. Actually, no, wait. Duplicate this. Filter. High pass. This is just going to crunch the image down a bit more and give it a really sharper look. See all those details? So if I just come in here, you can see it's just crunching those details even more. So even more crisp of an image. I'm going to duplicate this one. And also I want a little bit of motion blur. Maybe you want a little bit of motion blur to give it a little bit of a feel like it's in motion, I guess. I've got 4 minutes, so hopefully I'll be able to do this in 4 minutes. Just going to give just a base here, a little bit of motion blur. Maybe on the horns as well, and the spikes. Again, if you're trying to focus the person towards the point that actually matters, you can use this as a way to guide them towards the face. So everything else is slightly blurred. Again, totally up to you. You don't have to use motion blur. Some images I've done in the past don't have motion blur, and they work perfectly fine. I'm just going to crop because there's stuff on the outside of this image and we don't need it, so I'm just going to crop it real quickly. Oh, that's another thing you can do, is you can use an expose and bring up, oops a daisy, wrong one, bring up the exposure. I guess also the gamma. We can bring the gamma up a bit. Well, actually no, leave the gamma up where it is for now. Invert it. Use a brush to really, like, it's going to brighten up the exposure on the face, because again, that's the focal point, right? And we can also adjust this just by bringing the slider down slightly so it doesn't it's not overbearing. And the last thing I like to do is create a duplicate. Go to filter, noise, add noise, go to the layer type, soften, and just bring this down to around 20, 21, depending on your pixel density. And what that does, it just adds a little bit of noise. So if I turn this on and turn this off, you just about see some pixel noise in there. It just adds a little bit of noise to the image, the final image. And that is about it. The last thing I'll do is just add a logo of my logo, and that's about it. That's done. So yeah, it's not a bad little concept, you know, two and a half hour concept. We got all the sculpting done inside ZBrush, and we got all the Photoshop stuff done as well. It didn't take too long, and yeah, came up with I think it's a really cool looking design. Obviously, it's a mess. ZBrush wise, it's a mess. Photoshop wise, I could probably spend a little bit more time. We got like 1 minute 15 left, but I could have spent a little bit more time on the compositing side if I didn't have a time lapse or a time frame to stick to, and I could have made it look a little bit more interesting. I'm a little bit gutted that I didn't get the full body, but also doing a full body render is another mission because you have to add the floor to your character and all that. So maybe, you know, doing just a torso wasn't a bad idea. But yeah. Omega Creations says, I dig it. Impressive time to crank that out. Thank you. Yeah, I enjoy these types of concepts. Normally something like this would take me about 2 to 3 hours inside of ZBrush and in about 30 minutes inside of Photoshop. So you can tell the more you do in ZBrush, the less you have to do in Photoshop later. But yeah, I think I might have, just looking at the image, I might have got the camera perspective slightly wrong, and I should have rounded it out a bit more instead of flattened it too much. But I think it still came out okay. Alt Forever says, nicely done. Thank you very much. But yeah, so I think I achieved what I set out to achieve in this live stream. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. It's also given us a little bit of a break from the Mortal Kombat Scorpion character, which is really what this was about. Just, you know, having a little bit of time away from that project and doing something different. But yeah, I enjoyed that. It was a bit hectic in the ZBrush, I must admit. Trying to do 1 hour sculpt, like a character 1 hour sculpt, is actually quite difficult. But I do advise that people just do that once in a while with their own sort of spare time, just to get your gets your artistic juices flowing, basically. So yeah, and if you get it to this stage where you put it through Photoshop, it's even better. So, but I'm going to leave it there for tonight, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this live stream, and if you want, you can still grab 30% off on my Gumroad. That is from August 1st to 31st on all products, and you can also use coupon code Creative30 to get 30% off. I just want to say a big thank you to all of my members. You guys are really great. Really love having you on. All of my Patreon members as well, and all the people at Discord who are showing their work, and I really enjoy looking at those works, by the way. So please keep going to my Discord, and adding your works in there, because it's really inspiring to have it. I think the next Thursday we're going to continue on with the Scorpion character, so that should be fun. But because we're going to be in Substance Painter. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend. For my members, I'll see you on Monday for the continuation of the Prowler tutorial, which we're still working on. And for all you other subscribers, and hopefully future subscribers and members, I'll see you all on Thursday for another live stream. All right, thank you so lot, and take care. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more exclusive content and want to support my work further, then please check out my Patreon page at MLW_creative for more. Also, view past live streams you might have missed in Tier 3 tutorial support, where I will be archiving future streams moving forward. If you are interested in other full-length tutorials, brushes and models, then check out my online stores for more useful content. I would also like to thank all my subscribers and patrons for supporting me for this long. Again, thanks for watching and stay safe.